This video will tell the story of Howard Leopold, focusing mostly on his career as a highly accomplished wrestler and as the Mound-Westonka varsity wrestling coach in the 1970s, 80s, and early 90s. Before discussing his legacy, Howard wished to point out the legacies of a longtime Mound wrestling coach before him and a longtime Mound-Westonka wrestling coach after him. Mound had many state entrants and a total of 21 individual state wrestling champions between 1943 and 1960. Richard Alberg and Jerry Guyan each won twice in the 1940s. In 1947, Mound won its only state team championship with 3 individual champions on the team. George Coffey, Bob Kanan, and Gary Erdman each won state twice in the 1950s. Winning again in 1960, Erdman became Mound's first 3-time state champion. Coaching the wrestlers during many of those years was Harry Bacchus. Although having many state entrants over the years, Mound did not have an individual state champion again until Nick Jacob in 1995 and 1996. Jake Satzer won in 2007, and recently Jack Nelson won in 2021, 22, and 23. Nelson joined Erdman as a 3-time state champion from Mound. The head wrestling coach at Mound-Westonka over the past 28 years has been Todd Munsterteiger. He has coached many state entrants as well as several individual state champions. This video is the first of 4 related videos. The other 3 will be explained later. Howard James Leopold's life journey began in Redwood Falls, Minnesota, the home of the Redwood Falls Cardinals. He was a standout athlete, graduating from high school in 1964. Howard's parents, Hazel and Alvin, raised him and his 4 siblings on a farm. Howard was a 3-sport athlete, being a member of the football, wrestling, and baseball teams. A back injury in the 10th grade ended his football playing days. It was wrestling where Howard excelled. Howard started wrestling as a 7th grader at Redwood Falls in 1959. As an 8th grader in 1960, he placed 4th in the Minnesota State High School Wrestling Tournament. As a freshman, sophomore, and junior, he became a 3-time Minnesota State champion. In 1964, as a senior, he placed 2nd at state. He was awarded the Outstanding Athlete Award at Redwood Falls High School and ended his high school career with an incredible 120 wins against only 10 losses and 2 ties. In 1961, as a high school freshman, Howard won his first state wrestling championship, while his brother Harlan, a senior, won his 2nd state championship. Younger brother Keith was a state wrestling entrant years later in 1970. Sister Mary was a state entrant in track. Like his older brothers, Roger and Harlan, Howard moved on to Concordia College in Moorhead, Minnesota in 1965. He compiled a wrestling record of 44 wins against only 1 loss and 2 ties. He won 2 consecutive All-Lutheran College tournaments and 2 consecutive MIAC championships. In 1966, he was named the MIAC's Most Outstanding Wrestler. Advancing to the NAIA National Meet in 1966, Howard placed 2nd at 142 pounds, earning All-American honors. A memorable moment was defeating Raphael Goncharowski of Moorhead State to advance to the championship match. Leopold and Goncharowski had previously tied, twice. Another back injury, suffered early in Howard's junior year, ended his college wrestling career. He then served as an assistant coach under Concordia's coach Finn Grinacher until his graduation. Howard dated his childhood sweetheart, Carolyn Evanson, throughout their high school and college years, him at Concordia College, her at Gustavus College. They were married in Redwood Falls in 1968. After graduating from Concordia in 1969 with a bachelor's degree in health and physical education, Howard moved on to his teaching career in Mound, first at Hilltop Elementary, then Grandview Junior High School. Carolyn began her kindergarten teaching career in Mound. Howard served as Mound's assistant wrestling coach under Guy Jenks before becoming the head coach for the 1971-72 season in the new high school. That team finished with a record of 3 wins and 9 losses. The 1972-73 team improved to a record of 6 wins and 6 losses. 1974 was a memorable year for Howard. He coached the 1973-74 team to a record of 10 wins and 2 losses, winning the Red Division in the Tough Lake Conference. A key victory was a 28-22 win over Robbinsdale. In a match between the Red Division champion Mound-Westonka and the Blue Division champion Wayzata, Mound-Westonka came out on the short end of a very competitive contest. Howard's wrestling assistants over the years included Lyle Berkeley, Fred Hanley, Bruce Black, and at least 3 of Howard's former wrestlers, including David Benioff, Scott Tillotson, and Dave Alexander. Like Howard's high school wrestling coach Virgil Sales, who coached the 3 Leopold brothers, Howard also coached several sets of brothers. In the 1970s, he coached the Benioffs, Heitkamps, and Andersons, all accomplished wrestlers. Howard and Carolyn's children, Corey and Jason, were very successful athletes. Corey participated in wrestling and tennis, being all-conference in both, and graduated in 1988. Jason played football, hockey, and tennis, being all-conference in all 3, and graduated in 1994. Jason was also the recipient of the Yost Award. 1988 was another very memorable year for Howard. The 1987-1988 team had a challenging season fighting through some injuries. Howard and assistant coach Bruce Black prepared the team through some tough workouts, guiding them to a 4-3 conference record and an overall record of 11-10-1. Peaking at the right time, the team won the Region 6 AA Team Championship, earning a berth in the Minnesota State Tournament. Before continuing this story, I should mention that you can follow the watching of this video with 3 more that show these Mound-Westonka wrestling teenagers, now in their late 40s and early 50s. The first video shows Mound-Westonka defeating Wayzata in the first round of the 1987 Region 6 AA Team Championships. The second video shows many of those same wrestlers defeating Hopkins in the 1988 Region 6 AA Team Final to advance to the Minnesota State Tournament, as just mentioned. The third video shows some of those same wrestlers in a Howard Leopold production that was a tribute to the 1988-1989 wrestling team. Here's a 1-minute trailer related to the 1987 and 1988 Region 6 AA wrestling matches.
Gunderson in red. In red, we'll put out Joe Anderson, Darren Poikinen, Taran Jackson. Scott Woolner from Mound-Westonka. Corey Leopold
Tommy Jordan from Mound.
From Mound, Scott Carl. Sean Seimer in the red, 28-25.
He takes on a senior, Terry Barrett.
Barrett's got a 28-5 record.
Corey Gunderson from Mound.
And Jeff Castle for Mound. Joe Anderson for Mound. Chad Berkey from Mound.
Jerry, here's that Corey Leopold that we talked about earlier.
Chris Prattley from Mound. Jason Hopkins.
Chris Nelson. And Mound goes to the state tournament.
Congratulations, Howard. You're going to the state tournament.
Well, thank you very much.
The team was excited to be heading to the St. Paul Civic Center for the 1988 Minnesota State Wrestling Tournament. There was huge support from the community. 5 individual entrants would also be competing. Although Mound-Westonka lost in team competition to the Tough Little Falls and Osseo squads at the state tournament, The community was very proud of what they had accomplished. The local newspaper, The Laker, printed a special edition honoring the team's Cinderella year and each wrestler's participation. T.J. Fredericks wrestled at 98 pounds. Corey Gunderson, at 105 pounds, finished third in the individual competition. Jeff Castle wrestled at 112. Joe Anderson at 119. Darren Poikinen at 126. Chad Berkey at 132. Corey Leopold at 138 finished fifth in the individual competition. Charon Jackson wrestled at 145. Chris Prattley at 155. Jason Hopkins at 167. Chris Nelson at 185, and John Hamlet at heavyweight. The team's successes throughout the season also included solid performances at the Burnsville tournament, where they had 7 place winners, the Chisago Lakes tournament, where they had 1 place winner, and the Gagne tournament, where they had 2 place winners. As a result of the successes of the 1987-1988 team, Coach Leopold was named the region's 6AA Coach of the Year. Son Corey was recognized as the wrestler with the most wins in the history of the school, with 116 wins against 17 losses. He went on to the University of Minnesota Duluth on a wrestling scholarship. Part of Corey's wrestling story was that he beat a 2-time state champion from Wisconsin. Like his dad, Corey earned All-American honors, finishing 6th at the 1991 NAIA National Tournament. Since 1953, the Yost Award has been presented to the top athlete at Mound High School, later Mound-Westonka High School. It was named after a Mound drugstore owner, Frank Yost, an ardent community sports supporter. In 1994, it was renamed to the Yost Hadorf Leopold Award in honor of Oscar Hadorf and Corey Leopold. 7 years after Howard retired from his teaching position in 2003, he was inducted into the National Wrestling Coaches Association Hall of Fame. The following 3-minute video was shown at his induction ceremony.
One of the most memorable names in the history of Minnesota wrestling is that of Howard Leopold. By the time he graduated from Redwood Falls, Minnesota High School in 1964, Leopold was a 3-time state wrestling champion and the holder of a 120 wins, 10 loss, 2-tie career record. In his freshman year at Concordia College, Moorhead, Minnesota, Howard won the 1965 MIAC championship at 137 pounds. As a sophomore, he won again at 145 and was named Most Outstanding Wrestler. Howard advanced to the NAIA National Tournament that year and placed second at 145, earning All-America honors. In 1998, he was inducted into the Concordia College Athletic Hall of Fame in recognition of his outstanding achievements as a Concordia athlete and a lifetime of service as an educator and coach. In 1991, he was inducted into the Minnesota State High School Hall of Fame. In 1998, he was selected to the 15-member all-time Minnesota High School Dream Team from the past 60 years. Howard had a 44-win, 1-loss, 2-tie career record at Concordia College when a back injury in his junior season prematurely ended his wrestling career. But that injury also marked the beginning of an outstanding coaching career. He served as an assistant coach for Finn Greeniker for 2 seasons. After graduating from Concordia in 1969, Howard began teaching and coaching at Mound High School. He also went on to earn a Master of Arts degree from University of St. Thomas. Howard retired in 2003 after 34 years of teaching and coaching in Mound, Minnesota. During his 24 years as head wrestling coach at Mound-Westonka from 1969 to 93, he coached 32 state entrants and 15 state place winners. Howard became one of the most highly respected wrestling coaches in Minnesota. In 1988, he was named Region 6 AA Wrestling Coach of the Year, and his team was the 6AA entrant at the state tournament. Along with the team were 5 individual entrants, including his oldest son, Corey, who was a senior and 4-time state qualifier, 2-time state place winner. Coaching his son was a highlight of Howard's career. Corey went on to wrestle at the University of Minnesota Duluth for Coach Neil Ladston and earned All-America honors at the NAIA National Tournament. Howard's family includes his wife, Carolyn, son, Jason, wife, Brady, and 3 daughters, Bo, McHale, and Nevin. Son Corey died in an automobile accident in 1993 at the age of 23. Howard's hobbies include hunting and fishing, 4-wheeling in the mountains. Please congratulate 2010 Hall of Fame inductee, Howard Leopold.
Howard's family was able to enjoy the presentation in person. As they say in sports, Howard received some nice hardware, along with the write-up in the local newspaper, The Laker. Son Corey was inducted into the Mound-Westonka Wrestling Hall of Fame in 2009. Howard was inducted in 2010 as a coach. Howard has always been a lover of the outdoors and nature. As a lifelong hunter and fisherman, he has shared many outdoor adventures, including trips to Canada, with family and friends, including many teacher friends. Before closing, I thought it fitting to share the essence of success. Successful is a person who has lived well, laughed often, and loved much, who has gained the respect of children, who leaves the world better than they found it, who has never lacked appreciation for the earth's beauty, who never fails to look for the best in others, or give the best of themselves. I think that describes Howard well. Howard continues to enjoy retirement with family and friends, and can periodically be found at Westonka area coffee shops, reminiscing and attempting to solve the world's problems with fellow retirees. Congratulations, Howard, on all the successes that you've had in your life and the positive impact that you've had on so many people.